Righty, yo, what's going on, guys? A late Saturday afternoon stream. Yeah, we don't do this often. We don't. Waiting for y'all to get in here, right? Unless you guys are watching via playback. But if you guys aren't, yeah, we are live. Yo, what's going on, everybody? This is your boy Fitzmonk TV here, aka Lauren 33. I'm here with your official WWE Survivor Series 2020 preview and predictions. All right, we're also going to talk about SmackDown. This is the Legit Shoot podcast. I was not planning on streaming or doing anything like that today. I was not. I wasn't able to get my SmackDown review earlier, like I usually do. And I was supposed to do Survivor Series predictions on Friday, but I had some things going on, including, covering Dragon Ball Super for some of my anime people out there. So that's why I'm doing this stream now. So hopefully you guys can forgive me. Hold on one second. My camera's acting up. There we go. Sorry about that, y'all. But yes, we are going to talk about Survivor Series. I'm going to try not to make this a long podcast because I want to talk a little bit about SmackDown last night. All right. And cover Survivor Series since we do have that pay-per-view tomorrow. Just letting you guys know. Real Deal Stewart says, why you got to do this podcast so late? Stuart, what time? Stuart, where are you from? I thought you were from America. I know. Forgive me for doing the podcast late, man. It's just it's been a busy couple of days for me. So I'm only getting around to doing this now. If you need to go to sleep, bro, you can, just watch this via playback later when you wake up, right? Watch this, while making breakfast or something. Oh, you're from the UK? Well, bro, you can just watch this via playback. I don't want to make you miss on your bedtime. I appreciate your support, bro. But your sleep is more important. Tomorrow's gonna be a long day. So, if you want to watch via playback later, that's fine. All right. The stream will be available. It'll be live on the channel right after. So, but yeah, I know we're doing a late stream, but I'm telling you guys, it's going to be a busy 24 hours. Tomorrow, we have a Survivor Series watch through, right? Since the Hell in a Cell watch along was so successful, we're going to be doing one for Survivor Series. It's a big pay-per-view, so why not? And then we will have the Survivor Series review right here on the channel right after the show goes off the air. So make sure you guys subscribe and you guys have post notifications enabled so you guys know when I go live. All right. If you guys have been, watching the podcast, listening over the last, couple weeks, I've been very consistent with saying I'm not that excited for SmackDown or for not SmackDown, Survivor Series. All right. Not that excited for Survivor Series, mainly because the card doesn't even really look that special to me. All right. Outside of Sasha versus Asuka, which of course is going to be a banger. Sasha and Asuka is always a banger. And Drew McIntyre and Drew McIntyre and Roman Reigns, and the Street Profits and the New Day. I'm very hyped for those three matches. But other than that, I'm not that hyped. I'm not even excited for the Undertaker's farewell. It's not that I don't like the Undertaker. You really want me to believe that the Undertaker is retiring in front of no crowd? You guys remember WrestleMania, what was it, 33 a couple years back, when we all thought The Undertaker was retiring against Roman Reigns, right? We all thought he was gone. And remember, he put his coat, his hat, all that, he folded it, left it in the middle of the square circle. And it was an emotional moment. One of the rare times where I cried during a WWE event. One of the rare times. And then he came back so many times after that. And I love The Undertaker, but I don't know if he'll ever retire, right? I know they're celebrating 30 years of The Undertaker, which is absolutely crazy. I wasn't even alive 30 years ago when he first started wrestling. But the fact that, here we are all this time later and, they're doing this farewell ceremony, you can't make me believe that The Undertaker's retiring. Like, you can't. So, and we'll talk about that in just a sec because, it is going to be on Survivor Series and that's what they're advertising, but I don't believe it. I don't want to believe it. Stewart says I just watched the Last Ride documentary and now I'm on the last chapter. Yes, the Last Ride documentary on WWE Network. Like I know Raw and SmackDown, most weeks are not really that good. SmackDown was pretty boring, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But I will say this, one thing that WWE is really good at is documentaries, especially when they do documentaries on their superstars. Like the Undertaker Last Ride documentary is absolutely great. Great. It goes behind the scenes with Undertaker, and you get a real behind the scenes at Mark Calloway's life. Behind the Undertaker character, what goes through his head. There's been a lot of Undertaker content on the WWE network, and I would tell you guys to go check it out because we've never really gotten to see, the Undertaker outside the ring. And now here we are. And, I saw something like the Undertaker, WWE. We know that WWE's been banning superstars from Twitch and Cameo. Selena Vega was just fired on that. And I talked about that on the Monday Night Raw review since I didn't make a separate video on it. I don't know if you guys saw this, but you can get a cameo from Undertaker, and it's via WWE. So if you want like a message from the Undertaker for like a happy birthday or an anniversary or a shadow, maybe I could definitely see some YouTuber paying $1,000 to have the Undertaker say, "You better like, comment, subscribe, or rest in peace," something like that. And it just pisses me off. I love the Undertaker, but first, who would pay $1,000? Who would pay $1,000 for a cameo from anybody? Sorry, no, it doesn't matter who it is. $1,000. There's people that are lucky to make $1,000 in a month because that's the kind of world we live in. And someone would spend $1,000 on a cameo from the Undertaker. Still, maybe it was like 500 or something like that. At least that's still a lot, but it's a little more reasonable. 1K, and that money's not going to Mark Calloway. It's not like he needs it, but he's not getting that money. That money goes straight into Vince and WWE's pocket. They're the ones that banned WWE superstars from being on Twitch, from being on Cameo, and now WWE's going to business for themselves, and now they're trying to make a profit of on these third party platforms, which they banned their actual superstars from. Does nobody, you know, does nobody understand that? Stewart, I understand. Stewart says, and you have to bet that the Undertaker got Vince's approval for the cameo on TikTok. Here's the thing, bro. The money's going to WWE. It's not going to the Undertaker. Because here's the thing. Uh, there's only he's only doing a max of 30 cameos right now. I don't even know if he'll get that, right? I don't know. Maybe let's check. Let's check. Let's check. Let's go to Cameo right now. He's only doing 30 cameos. That's $30,000. That's going to WWE's pockets. He's doing this with WWE, not for himself. Let me see if I can find this. Hold up. We're doing this live. All right, Undertaker doesn't come up, so it's probably Mark Calloway. Doesn't come up. I don't know. His thing's not coming up, but you guys get the point, right? Like the fact that WWE banned their superstars from these platforms, but now WWE's going into business for themselves. They fired someone that's like Selena Vega, who I actually enjoy a lot, and I'm not with it. I really feel like that's selfish from WWE. They can make money from using a legend like Undertaker and putting him on Cameo, but you can't let your superstars who are supposed to be independent contractors, who are not only independent contractors, but they're also in a pandemic, they're not touring. Doesn't make any sense to me. I feel like it's absolutely despicable, really. Really despicable. But all right, all right. I went on my computer. Undertaker is on Cameo, but he's not available. He's not available. Oh, here we go. It says I found it. It says one of the most iconic superstars in WWE history, Undertaker made his WWE debut at Survivor Series on November 22nd, 1990. To commemorate the 30th anniversary of the debut, the Dead Man will create 30 personalized video messages on Sunday, November 22nd. So he's not available right now on Cameo, but he will be available on Sunday for Survivor Series. Or so. Still, I don't know who in their right mind would pay $1,000 for a cameo from anybody. All right, I'm not saying this just for takers. This is for anybody. Like you can buy really good risk. You could nearly get front row WrestleMania tickets for that price. Like if you're really giving WWE a free $30, a free $30,000, a free $1,000 per person, right? If you're doing that just to get what a 30-second video from the Undertaker, then you're out of your mind. Really, like no, it doesn't matter who you are. I disagree with that. So it just angers me personally. It angers me that WWE would go to these lengths, right? They're not letting their superstars on the platform, but they can make money and go into business for themselves. Hate that nonsense, really do. And oh yeah, Stuart, I agree with you. There are some diehard Taker fans that are going to do this. And like I said, probably tomorrow, maybe tomorrow on the podcast. If one of you guys remind me during the Survivor Series review tomorrow, we will check back on the Undertaker's cameo live, and we'll see what fools paid $1,000 for that. I feel like it's wrong. It's absolutely despicable, really. I don't care if it's the Undertaker's 30th anniversary. You're not letting your superstars on these platforms. Independent contractors, mind you, right? I don't care if they're signed to your company. They're independent contractors. They're allowed to have side hustles, but you're not allowing them on your platforms on Twitch and Cameo. But you're allowed just because it's the Undertaker, because that money's going to WWE. Undertaker might get a portion of that, but the majority of that is going to WWE's pockets, even though they don't need it. But it just shows you how selfish these people are, man. Absolutely hate it. And I hate that Zelina Vega lost her job for something as stupid as this. It really boggles my mind how dumb Vince McMahon and how selfish he is. Stewart says it may just be me, but I don't like the term independent contractors. I don't know. It doesn't bother me. It's more like independent businessman. That's the way I look at it. Right? It just looks at the end of the day, outside of WWE, when they're not in the wrestling ring, these are people. They're allowed to have their own side gigs, side hustles, side jobs. You know what I mean? So independent contractors, or you can just call them, independent businessman. That's the simpler word for it. Oh man. Oh yeah, that is right. Also, you guys mentioned the Thunderdome. The Thunderdome will be moving to Tropicana Field in December, right? Tampa Bay. The way WWE said is not going to look much different. Remember, they play in I believe, yeah, they play in a dome there in Tampa, right? It's not an outdoor baseball stadium. It's a dome baseball stadium. So even though, they'll have more room, right? I can definitely see them doing some wacky, like Falls Count Anywhere match inside the Thunderdome in the Tropicana Field. Like say they fight all the way to the to like the ball the what is it called? What's the locker room called in baseball? I forgot what the ball club, right? Something like that. The bullpen. I don't know, but I could see them, fighting on top of like the bleachers and stuff like that. It's wacky. It's wacky. But either way, man, it's gonna be interesting. I could definitely see WWE, since right now the deal says that they'll be in Tropicana Field from the midway through December all the way through March. So I can definitely see them possibly having a Royal Rumble with fans alongside the Thunderdome. Right? If you guys see the way they do it at the Performance Center with NXT, they have some fans, not many, but they have a limited amount of fans in the arena, socially distanced, of course, with masks and everything. And then you have your normal fans that are there via the Thunderdome. I can see them doing that, at Tropicana Field. It's a huge baseball stadium. They could easily, limit up and put a certain amount of people in each section, right? Because it's a baseball field. It's huge. You can put some people in left field, put some people in right field, put some people behind the bullpen, behind home plate. It's huge. It's huge, right? So Definitely, it's gonna be interesting to see how it looks. WWE claims it's not gonna look that much different, but I don't know. They're inside a baseball field. It's not an NBA arena. It's a baseball field, which is huge. All right. Oh, the clubhouse. That's what it was called. That's what an MLB locker room is. It's called the clubhouse. Uh, but either way, yeah. But like I've been saying, and I know I have a lot to say. I haven't had a podcast in almost a week, but I'm not that excited for Survivor Series because WWE really put no stakes. They're marking this show as the best of the best. It doesn't feel like the best of the best. It just feels like Raw and SmackDown going up against each other, brand versus brand. There's no stakes. This really doesn't feel like a lot of competition. It just feels like something I would do in WWE Universe mode in WWE 2K. That's really what it feels like. We've seen, Raw and SmackDown facing off against each other all year. What's supposed to be special about this? I don't think there's much. I really don't think that's much. I've been pitching, WWE for like the winners of Survivor Series matches. They should get something like title matches down the line, or they should get priority seating in the Royal Rumble. Like the better the chance you have of if you win a Survivor Series match, you're guaranteed to get a one of the last five spots in the Royal Rumble, anywhere from 25 to 30th, giving you an advantage and a much better chance to actually win the Royal Rumble. That's what I would do, right? But they're not doing anything special here. It's just the best of the best. And not saying, some of these matches aren't going to be bangers, because there will be. Like I said, Sasha and Asuka, hype for that, of course. It's a Sasha Banks match. It's arguably the two best female wrestlers in the world right now, who have tons of history. You have Drew McIntyre and Roman Reigns. After that contract signing we saw on SmackDown, which was spectacular, right? I said this is going to be a big match. Drew McIntyre, who's now arguably the top babyface on the male roster, Roman Reigns, the top heel in the company. It should be a banger. It's going to be great. All right. And you also have the Street Profits versus the New Day, which I think if WWE gets it the time, it could be one of the best tag team matches of the year. Could it compete with the Revival and the Young Bucks, what they did at the AEW pay-per-view a couple weeks back? You never know. You never know. But all in all, I'm not that excited for Survivor Series outside those three matches I just mentioned, because WWE has not put enough stakes into the show to make me care. I remember a couple of years ago when you had Stephanie McMahon running Raw and you had Kurt Angle running Raw, and then you had Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon running SmackDown. And when Survivor Series came, you were excited because you had the invasion angles. We didn't see no invasion angle this year, not one. I understand it's a wacky year because of COVID, but still, not one invasion angle, right? They didn't even do anything like they did with a Titantron. It boggles my mind. They've made absolutely no effort. And I remember, even though the stakes weren't huge, I remember, Stephanie telling Kurt Angle, "I want you to rip the heart out. I want their heads on platters." Talking about SmackDown, and then Shane and Daniel Bryan saying, "We're not going down." Oh my gosh! Remember back in like 2001, you had freaking Team WWF versus the Alliance, all stakes on the line, right? Survivor Series 2005. Ooh, SmackDown versus Raw. That was great. I see what you said, Stuart. Uh, you also said Survivor Series 2000. Yep, Team Bishop versus Team Austin. Great stuff right there. Huh. The last couple of years, Survivor Series actually had decent builds. Last year, you had NXT versus Raw versus SmackDown. This year, there is nothing to be excited about outside the three matches I mentioned earlier. There's no stakes with these Survivor Series matches. No stakes whatsoever. It doesn't even feel like bragging rights. Like I said, this feels like random matches. There's really no builds, no story. You remember when Shane brought, AJ Styles, Dean Ambrose, Orton, Bray Wyatt. And I forgot who. And I think James Ellsworth was like the team mascot, and Shane was the fifth guy. And they raided Raw. Remember, Shane said Raw was under siege. Remember how great a promo that was when you had five of the best of SmackDown talking to the five of the best of Raw. Chris Jericho and Kevin Owens on Raw with Roman and Seth and Braun Strowman. That was a great segment. Do you remember one of Becky Lynch's best moments ever? And a iconic moment. Becky Lynch running through the Raw locker room, putting Ronda Rousey in the armbar and coming out And then, we also know Nia Jax breaking her face, even though it was an accident. But you guys know Nia Jax sucks. And then, or Becky Lynch is kicking ass with a broken nose, and the image of her standing in the crowd, her arms wide open, and everybody cheering for her as blood is gushing down her broken nose. Love it. Loved it. We don't have one iconic moment from the Survivor Series build. Every year we have at least one. We don't have none this year. And that shows you how disappointing the Survivor Series build has been. I'm not saying tomorrow night's Survivor Series won't be a good show. I'm not saying that. But the build itself doesn't really give you much to care for. No, like, come on. No invasion angles, no good segments, no under siege, no none of that. No stakes. Like, come on. Everything that's supposed to make Survivor Series special, we're not getting that this year. And it's a disappointment. NBA YouTube just said their one. Survivor Series 2014. Team Cena versus Team Authority. If Team Authority loses, they're out of WWE. Sting coming out, right? Sting making his first appearance in the WWE would set up him versus Triple H at WrestleMania the next year. And that distraction allowing Team Cena to get the dub, and then Team Authority being booed out the building as they were supposed to be gone, even though they eventually came back. Like just a couple weeks later, it didn't, last long, but you guys get the point. It was stuff like that made Survivor Series special. I don't see anything special about this build outside of some good matches that we're gonna see, and that's disappointing. It truly is. So either way, we're gonna go through the Survivor Series card real quick, right? Like I said, I'm gonna try to do this quickly because I don't want this to be a super long review, or not even a review, a long podcast. I want to spend, a little bit of time talking about Survivor Series, the card, and then I want to go really, really quickly, like not any more than 10 minutes talking about SmackDown last night because I didn't give you guys a SmackDown review earlier like I usually do. So let's do this. So Survivor Series, the card, right? Like I said, I think there's like about 6 or 7 matches on this card, and I'm not doubting the matches won't be good. It's just the builds and the stakes behind it aren't really there. Not much to care for. So we're gonna start off with Sasha Banks versus Asuka. Usually I would do the Sasha Banks match last, but Survivor Series is champion versus champion, right? So not really, but we've seen Asuka versus Sasha Banks, so many times. It's not a fresh match, but they have arguably the best chemistry out of any other duo in the women's division, outside of maybe Sasha versus Charlotte, or Sasha versus Becky, or Sasha versus Bailey. Right. And notice how I keep saying Sasha because Sasha has great chemistry with all the 4 horsewomen plus Asuka. Because Sasha's the best female wrestler in the world. I don't have to tell you guys this. You guys heard me say this so many times, right? But we know the history. I retweeted this on Twitter earlier. Sasha and Asuka have tons of history, and WWE had like a little clip of just the history between Sasha and Asuka this year. They faced off 4 times just this year alone, and every time there's not one match that hasn't delivered. Sasha versus Asuka from Extreme Rules. Sasha won that match after Bailey put on the referee shirt, even though it was very controversial. But Sasha got the dub there. It could have been match of the year candidate if the ending was so controversial that it kind of took away from how great the match actually was. So then a couple weeks later, we had Sasha versus Asuka on Raw. Sasha got the win again, but this was because Asuka let herself get counted out because Bailey attacked Kairi Sane backstage. So then a couple weeks after that, we got Sasha versus Asuka at SummerSlam, right? And I just want to mention that, and you guys have heard me say this already, Sasha and Zelina Vega were the only real, good parts of Asuka's reign so far. And that's on WWE because WWE has done nothing to build Asuka any opponents. Asuka was supposed to be, the successor to Becky Lynch because Becky's about to have her baby in a couple weeks. But WWE has done Asuka no favors, giving her no real challengers outside of Sasha, and the good match she had with Zelina Vega and the good match she's had with Bailey. Asuka has done nothing since the draft, and it honestly feels wasted. It really does. But either way, SummerSlam, Sasha and Asuka, they only went about 12, 13 minutes, but it was an absolute banger for the short match it was. great match. And then the night after, we had Sasha versus Asuka. Fourth time, this was probably the least best of their matches. It was Monday Night Raw, and we all knew Sasha was going to lose. Sasha was forced to tap out to Asuka for a second night in a row. Asuka regained the Raw Women's Championship. So based on that, it's 2-2. But the way I look at it, if you guys remember the night after the Royal Rumble in 2018, when Asuka won the first Women's Royal Rumble, we got Asuka versus Sasha on Raw, which was it was a absolute banger, classic. And I was rewatching the match earlier, and it was just reminding me of better days when we actually had a crowd in the arena. And it's absolutely wild. All right. Stuart, oh, thanks for joining us, Stuart, man. You have a good night, bro. Hopefully we'll see you tomorrow night for the Survivor Series review. But like I was saying, Oscar and Sasha have tremendous chemistry. But the way I see it, Oscar made Sasha tap out the night after the Royal Rumble a couple years ago. So I see it as Oscar with 3 wins and Sasha with 2. And the thing about it is, the thing that gets me more mad is Oscar has defeated Sasha clean all 3 of those times. Sasha's never had a clean victory over Oscar, right? Because you had the controversial finish at Extreme Rules. Then you had her, Asuka needed to get count out by her running backstage to save Kairi Sane, right? You needed that, to get Sasha a dub. Sasha's never been able to defeat Asuka clean. And I know if I told Sasha this right now, she would probably slap me or ignore me because Sasha doesn't like the look in the past. Sasha's the type of person that loves to look towards the future and what she's going to do next. So you guys know I never bet against Sasha Banks. Never bet against her. And I believe the match will be great. My only problem is that Carmella. We know that Sasha and Carmella are currently feuding on SmackDown, and they've had Carmella beat up Sasha 3 weeks in a row, and I have not liked this. Not liked it at all. It looks, and I know at the end I expect Sasha to probably defeat Carmella. I don't believe in Carmella. She's not bad, but she's not really that good. Sasha will be able to bring Carmella to a good match, but Carmella SmackDown Women's Champion, something none of us want to see. None of us care about that, right? But the thing is, they had Carmella attack Sasha on SmackDown again this week when she was doing a promo segment with Asuka, and Asuka sat there and did nothing. So I guess the reason why Asuka didn't do anything is because Asuka's been attacked by Sasha and Bailey in the past earlier this year. So she was like, this is just a little bit of a revenge, right? I'm not gonna see her do anything. You used to do the same thing to me earlier just this year when we were feuding on Raw. So kind of makes sense to me a little bit. But the only way I could see Sasha not winning this match, because the way I would book it, I would have Sasha and Asuka tear down the house for 20 minutes, have Sasha make Asuka tap out clean, because Sasha has put Asuka over 3 times with the Asuka lock. She's tapped out the Asuka 3 times. It's now for Asuka to do the same for Sasha. All right. Plus, Sasha has just started her reign as SmackDown Women's Champion, and you need to keep her momentum going. All right. Asuka's already been champion for the most part, since May. So that's the way I would do it. I'd have Sasha beat Asuka clean, and then since they're both baby faces, the top baby faces in their divisions, I would have them embrace and sportsmanship, and that would be that. But I have a bad feeling. That Carmella is going to interfere in this match. And that's either going to cause some kind of disqualification or it's going to actually cause Sasha to lose. And I don't want to do that. All right. I've seen enough of Sasha versus Asuka with disqualifications. I want to see a clean 20-minute classic, no interference, no nothing. Let's see what these two can do with each other with no distractions, nothing. That's what I want to see. Hopefully we do get that. And if we do, I have Sasha winning. But I have a bad feeling that Carmella may interfere. So for right now, of course, I'm going to say Sasha's going to win. But, we got to just be careful and hope for the best here, right? So I'm going to go with Sasha defeating Asuka. Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre for the WWE Championship. On Monday Night Raw earlier this week, we talked about Randy Orton losing the WWE title to Drew McIntyre in what was, I believe, barely even a 3-month reign as champion. And you guys know I both like Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre, but I don't want to see them wrestle anymore. It's been absolutely, forced down our throats over these last couple months, and I don't want to see it. I'm not interested in it anymore, and it just pisses me off that they gave uh Randy Orton the title, but only let him held it for 3 weeks. And I read something earlier that that they decided excuse me, that they decided last minute that they were gonna have Drew win the title back. And it's just that, that out of touch logic, that indecisiveness that pisses me off about Vince. It really does, man. He had no plan. He wanted to have something that popped a very short but an increase in the ratings, and it just shows me how out of touch he really is. If you wanted to do Roman versus Drew at Survivor Series, Roman should have, or not Roman, Drew should have never lost the title. Never lost the title in the first place. It was a waste of people's time. It was a waste of people's time to give Randy Orton the title anyway. I thought Randy was gonna, hold that title probably till WrestleMania to drop it to Edge, but of course WWE didn't do that. I really don't understand WWE's logic with these types of things. Right? Randy Orton versus Drew McIntyre is a huge match, especially with Drew now being a babyface and what Roman's doing as the top heel in the company. But it's just how we got there, And I expect this to be a banger of a match. I don't see Roman losing that title. Roman's been booked strong, so I don't see him losing. Drew just won the title back, and they're going with the story of Roman believing that he's the top champion, and he looks at Drew as a number two, like he'll always be. So I expect Drew to get a lot of babyface sympathy here, and I think it's going to be a banger of a match. I think it's going to be great. Will it be match of the night? Probably not, but I expect it to be a really good match. But I don't think I don't think either man is going to lose or win. I think we're going to get an interference by the Fiend, right? I think the Fiend's somehow going to interfere in this, and he's going to probably attack Roman because remember he is supposed to be a babyface. He'll attack both men. It would have been way more likely for him to do this if Randy Orton was the champion because they have been teasing a Randy Orton and the Fiend feud. But I think most likely the Fiend will, show up, attack Roman, right? And probably, this will be a little tease for potentially the Fiend winning the Royal Rumble, which, I don't think he will, but that's the direction I see them going. And that's the one that makes the most sense. You can't have Roman lose right now. You can't have Drew lose right now. So I think what's going to happen is the Fiend's going to interfere, and that's going to cause some type of disqualification. That's my thoughts on that. So no winner. I'm going to go with no contest there with Roman and Drew. Next up, for the tag team titles, right? We have the Raw tag team champions, the New Day versus the Street Profits of SmackDown. And you guys know, if you guys saw the podcast a couple weeks ago, I blew a gasket with WWE having the Street Profits and the New Day to switch titles like they were pieces of candy or pieces of lunch at lunchtime, right? I was not with this at all. Not with this at all. WWE should have merged the tag team divisions because WWE's tag team division right now has never been in more of a low state. Never. They have no teams. None whatsoever. So it bothers me. It bothers me a lot that they didn't merge the tag team divisions. But either way, we're forced to be subjected to this nonsense. So who do I got winning? I feel like this could be a banger of a classic. Like I said, potentially maybe tag match of the year if it's that good. We'll just have to wait and see. We know how good both teams are, but it's gonna be interesting. You could go both. You could go with both teams here, right? The Street Profits are the new upcoming tag team, wanting to take down one of the greatest factions of all time in the New Day. So it's going to be very, very interesting. Very interested to see how this all plays out. If I had to pick a team right now, if I had to pick a team right now, it would probably be the New Day, just for my slidey button. Just because I feel like WWE might see them, the way they cooked, and be like, oh, we're gonna go with this guy. We're gonna go with this guy. I wouldn't be surprised. WWE, the way they do things, the way they do things, man. They could just merge the tag team divisions instead of giving us this match. Whew. Oh man, I'm sitting here now with thought, just thinking about how. I'm gonna leave it at that, bro. But right now, I would have to pick the New Day. If I had to, only if I had to pick a winner, I would pick the New Day, just by a little sliver. Sportsmanship after the match, and that would be it. Next up, we had Bobby Lashley versus Sami Zayn, battle of the mid card champions. I don't have a problem with either one of these two men. Bobby Lashley is fit very nicely within the Hurt Business, even though there are a lot of times where he can't really pronounce himself. But he done a good job, recognizing the U.S. flag, you know. And then, of course, we have Rusev. Now with AEW. Oh man, that's funny. But either way, you have last with the U.S. title, Sami Zayn, who's been doing a great job with the IC title on SmackDown. Hopefully, you guys saw him versus Mr. Belt. But I read reports that WWE's thinking about having Lashley versus Zayn as a squash match. The whole thing about it is we know that Zayn is very strategical in his victories and how he wrestles. I don't know if that's going to have any impact on Bobby Lashley, but right now the spoilers, or not the spoilers, the dirt sheets are saying that I'm forgetting. It's supposed to be a squash match, yeah. And the thing is, you're telling me with someone as intelligent as Sami Zayn, the way he won that title with the handcuffs, you tell me you can't find some way, at least survive against Bobby Lashley a little bit longer and not get defeated in just a couple bites. Hmm, that's funny. That is funny. But right now, it looks like we are gonna get a squash match, and until further is changed, I'm gonna go with Bobby Lashley. It's really that simple. We'll see today. We'll see today. But yeah, I think Bobby Lashley is going to beat the crap out of Sami Zayn. We've already seen it in the past month or a past month. I call myself month. A past month with what's his name? Well, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. But right now, I'm going Bobby Lashley to win in a squash match. Next up, we have the Survivor Series traditional matches. The 5-on-5 between the men and the women, the one we get every single year. So we'll start with the men's Survivor Series team, right? The men's Survivor team consists of Keith Lee, AJ Styles, Sheamus, Braun Strowman, and Matt Riddle representing Monday Night Raw. SmackDown has Kevin Owens, Jey Uso, King Corbin, Seth Rollins, and Otis. There were reports that Big E was supposed to be originally in Big E's spot, but he somehow got a little busted. So I don't really have a problem with Buddy Murphy being on the team, if he won his match, which we'll find out a little bit later. But either way, the build for this men's Survivor Series team has not been that good. Really, the fact that they gave a random spot to Otis, what has Otis done to deserve a spot? Nothing. It's like I said, this is where having stakes would be a huge solution. Huge. Because then you would give us something to care about. You would give us something to get invested into. It'll be like, oh, if Team SmackDown wins, Seth gets a title opportunity for being the lone survivor. Or if Raw wins, Keith Lee gets a guaranteed top 5 spot in the Royal Rumble. You guys see how this works? There's supposed to be stakes involved in this, something to get us excited about. Give us a dang reason to actually watch the card. Really. The whole thing has been AJ Styles, naming himself as team captain, but it not really meaning anything in terms of his teammates. In the last couple of weeks, they just been, dysfunctioning. So, yeah, it's. But I'm not gonna question really the talent. But you gotta ask yourself, who needs this the most, right? You look at the two rosters, and I see mainly two people. I see. I think I see. I'm trying to see who it is. Who needs this the most? I would say Keith Lee needs it. Matt Riddle needs it. Those two haven't really done much since being on Monday Night Raw, and this could really boost them a lot. I would and on SmackDown, you can make maybe an argument for Kevin Owens. Those being the people who possibly need the dub the most. Maybe Otis. Really, that's it. Styles doesn't need this. Sheamus doesn't really need this. Strowman definitely doesn't need it, right? And on SmackDown, who cares about King Corbin? And you could say that Seth Rollins really doesn't need it. I don't know. But my prediction for the match itself, the match will be good. I don't really have to preview the traditional matches because it's just going to be them fighting and then finisher, pin, whatever. So for this, I'm gonna go with Team Raw. I feel like the whole leader storyline is gonna be either Styles, uh, it's gonna be Styles. I don't know. I'm gonna say the Raw Survivor Series will win, and then Styles, either Styles, Lee, and Riddle, some kind of combination of those three, will be the ones involved. That's the way I see it. That's the way I see it. You know. Yeah, that's the way I see it. I think you're Keith Lee. I know if I'm pausing because I'm looking at the roster, I'm trying to think. Keith Lee needs this dub. Riddle needs it. Styles made us be there just because he's the pretend captain. And on SmackDown, the only person I really feel that could really benefit from this is Seth and Otis. But they're not Seth and Otis, Kevin Owens and Otis. That's what I think. But we'll just have to, wait and see. We'll wait and see. You know, um, yeah. So for right now, I'm gonna finish it right here. I think I'm gonna have Keith Lee with AJ Styles as the sole survivor, assisting him, defeating all right, KO and Rollins. I feel like that's what we're gonna do. So I'm gonna say the Raw Men's Survivor Series team wins. Keith Lee, AJ Styles, and defeats Seth Rollins as your final three. NBA YouTube says Sheamus going to be the first one eliminated to watch. I don't know. There's rumors saying they're going to have Sheamus feud with Drew McIntyre going forward on Raw. So you never know. You never know. We'll just have to wait and see on that. But yeah, that's my thoughts on the Men's Survivor Series team. Not really that excited for that match, though. Women's Survivor Series team is far worse. I understand, WWE doesn't have Becky, right? They don't have Charlotte. They don't have Rada. They don't have all their top talent that would probably be in this position. But honestly, there is no excuse for SmackDown's women's team not to wipe the floor with Raw. There's no excuses, really. When I look at this roster, I'm just, oh, oh. They're really look at Raw's team. Nia Jax, you guys know how I feel about her. She's trash. Go be a McDonald's mascot. Get out of a wrestling ring. You suck. Shayna Baszler, right, who hasn't been used correctly in my opinion. All right, then Peyton Royce and Lacey Evans. Remember that was a big change because WWE didn't want to have Dana Brooke in the match and Mandy Rose could be in the match because of injury. So it is what it is. It is what it is. The team is so bad. And I went over, all right, I'm saying WWE really needs, Raw really needs Naomi. Raw really could use, and I couldn't believe these words come out of my mouth. They need a Charlotte right now to pick up that women's division. Asuka has nobody to face. And that's pretty apparent when you just look at the Survivor Series team alone. It's just, there's no reason why Bianca Belair, Ruby Riott, Liv Morgan, Bayley, and Natalia, all who I cannot wait to see go up against Sasha. There's no reason why they should almost sweep this team. Like this could be easily a Bianca Belair showcase, like she had the Royal Rumble last year, right? You have Ruby Riott and Liv Morgan, who I think hopefully one day will probably be women's tag team champs. You have Bayley, who just had one of the best runs of her career. And Bayley deserves to be the captain. It makes sense, right? She's the best out of all those women, especially after her reign. So that doesn't bother me one bit. That's the way I feel. That's up. So who gets the win? I'm gonna go with Bianca Belair. Man, I would love to see Nia Jax utterly fail to sell the KOD. But for right now, I would have Bianca Belair win doing the KOD on Nia. I could see something like Lana, finally turns and snaps. Right, she's finally able to get some little layer of revenge on Nia for the 9 weeks of being put through a table, and then I would do something. I would do something with Bianca Belair doing the KOD on Nia, and that getting the win. Bianca Belair is going to be the next star in the women's division, and I feel like that's the route you should go with. It's really that simple. You're hopefully you're building towards Bianca and Sasha and Mania like we all want, but that's the route I would go for. Bianca defeating Nia. And remember, I also read that every single year, the Women's Survivor Series team from Raw wins from 2016 onward, right? No matter who was on that team. So since the initial brand split, this is the 5th Survivor Series since that time. The Women's Survivor Series team from SmackDown has never been able to pick up a dub. The first 3 years, it was Raw, and then last year, it was NXT. So SmackDown, it's SmackDown's turn. All right. Let me look in the chat real quick. UI Paul, what's good, my brother? He says, can't wait for Drew McIntyre to acknowledge the tribal chief. Yeah, I love what Roman's doing right now, bro. He's doing absolutely spectacular work. The best of his career easily. All right, JD says, what's good? What's up, homie? I'm not going to lie, though. I am a little tired, guys. Really tired. I'm going to go to bed early tonight. Probably a couple hours after I finish this. Definitely gonna go to sleep early tonight, bro. Oh man, I need to be well rested. We got fantasy football tomorrow. We got freaking the Bucks don't play till Monday. They don't play till Monday Night Football. They don't play the Rams till Monday. So I'm gonna spend most of my day watching football, and then around 6:30, then I'll start getting in Survivor Series mode, right? And so Anthony, you guys don't know who Anthony is. Anthony was the former I have to remind you guys because we always have new subscribers in here. Anthony was my former co-host of this very podcast. We did the podcast together for I think it was a year and a half, and then 2019. It's almost been 2 years. 2 years since this guy stopped watching the product. He stopped watching WWE. Like he doesn't even watch NXT anymore. And I'm happy for him. He's my brother, but I do miss those times. But he sometimes makes rare appearances in the chat, right? Anthony says, my 7-year-old nephew made me watch SmackDown. Freaking terrible. I agree. I barely watched SmackDown last night. Outside of the Roman and Drew contract signing and the short, and I'm not even gonna lie, Sasha's segment with Oscar last night was not that good. Sauce's segment was not that good, which we'll talk about in a little bit. It's not Sauce's fault; it's WWE's fault. But that it wasn't that good. The only good thing was Roman and Drew. Roman Reigns as a heel, as Anthony, as Anthony. For how many? When we first started the podcast, I said for every single, no matter if it was a Raw, a SmackDown, or a pay-per-view review. This was like 2 years ago. I kept saying every single podcast we did, Roman needs to be heel. That's the only way you'll ever get me to care for him. And now here we are 2 years later, and Roman's one of my favorite things on the main roster just because of this heel run. You turn Roman back to a babyface, I'll go back to hating him again. Right? Roman as a heel right now is money, absolute money. Right? But Roman's heel gimmick right now is absolutely spectacular. Spectacular. Uh, and what's funny is let me see what else going on in the chat. Oh yeah, so Anthony, let me tell you guys something. Actually, let me tell you guys something. Me and Anthony met at a StubHub, at a Saucer meet and greet. All right. We met at StubHub. And Anthony told me about how he was going to a Sasha meet and greet in Philly because he was going to be there for Royal Rumble weekend. So then, he gave me his number because we were both Sasha fans. So then that's how our friendship started. We talked WWE every single week. Anthony won tickets at that meet and greet to be at Monday Night Raw the night after the Royal Rumble when Asuka won. So that was the first time Sasha and Asuka ever faced live. Ever. Right? And Anthony was live in attendance. And if you ask Anthony who his favorite wrestlers are outside, I know his favorite wrestlers, Johnny Gargano, Sasha Banks, and Asuka. Even though he doesn't watch anymore, those were his favorite wrestlers. And Anthony says Sasha and Asuka needs to go 25 minutes. Give them 30. Give them 30. We don't know how great Sasha and Asuka are, And Sasha needs to win clean. Asuka has defeated Sasha 3 times clean. 3 times clean. Twice this year. Sasha is not defeat Asuka clean. And I pray Carmella does not interfere, and that's why Sasha loses, or there's some kind of disqualification. Please. All right. But JD says Carmella is a buzzkill. Yes, she is a buzzkill. She's not that good. She's basically what Eva Marie was before Eva Marie left WWE. You guys remember All Red Everything Eva Marie? That is Carmella in 2020. Her ring attire, this whole untouchable gimmick, right? Sasha will get a good match out of Carmella because Sasha's that good, but Carmella sucks. All right. Anthony says, I need your thoughts on Sami Zayn versus Bobby. Yo, I remember that. So I remember in 2018 when me and Anthony were doing the podcast together. That was when Sami Zayn was heel. He was on Monday Night Raw, and Bobby Lashley was a babyface. This was before Bobby Lashley was with Leo Rush or the Hurt Business or anything like that. We all know Bobby Lashley cannot cut promos. I don't know why he can't, but he can't cut promos for his life, right? And remember, I don't know, Anthony, do you remember this? The sisters. Oh, yeah, you just said in the chat, the sister segment. If I could find that podcast and find the clip of us reacting to that segment, yo, one of the easily one of the most famous moments in the history of the podcast. Easily. I remember Anthony losing his mind on that Monday Night Raw review. I hated it, but I remember he wanted to go first because Anthony was a big Sami Zayn guy at the time. So, oh my gosh, was that segment terrible? Oh my gosh, when they had like the guy dressed up as a girl and they had these 3 stooges in the ring pretending to be Bobby Lashley's sisters, and then Sami Zayn interviewing them. Oh my gosh. And then Bobby Lashley comes into the ring and he just like knocks all of them on their asses. Terrible segment. Just as bad as the Bailey This Is Your Life segment that they did with Alexa. I think that was that same year back in 2018. Absolutely terrible. JD, you said latest interview where she talked about having Alexa Bliss as a partner. Who said that, JD? Carmella? I don't know. I think that's terrible. No, Carmella. First of all, Carmella needs to go back to her fabulous gimmick. Go back to her old gimmick. This gimmick is terrible. I hate these blonde gimmicks because it reminds me of. Oh, you're talking about Sasha? Are Sasha and what do you mean? Sasha and Alexa are friends now? Are they? I thought Sasha and Alexa are friends. I don't know. You guys tell me that they buried the hatchet finally. Like no, Sasha said that in an interview. What? Yo, JD, send that to me on Twitter. When that Sasha and, Sasha and Alexa Bliss are friends? Really? I thought they had heat. Whoa. I thought Sasha hated Alexa. But anyway, Anthony says this. Oh, by the way, I know the chat's active tonight, man. I can't even get back to my Survivor Series predictions because you guys are killing me in the chat, but I love it. Anthony says, "Oh, by the way, just wanted to say this. It kills me to say Oscar and Sasha are only succeeding because of Flair's injury and Becky's pregnancy. Truly bothers me. I'm not gonna lie. Anthony has told me this so many times, so many times. Because deep down, even though Anthony doesn't watch the product, I know he supports Sasha and Oscar and he wants them to succeed. But if you guys saw the podcast back in the day, we would rant on Charlotte and Alexa and all these other people every single week because they're the reasons why Sasha and Oscar were not being pushed. And now, if you look at the MVPs for this year, if you look at the MVPs for WWE this year, Sasha and Oscar are near the top of the list. Sasha because of the story she did with Bailey, right? And I'm happy that Sasha is now in this amazing position, right? But you know, I don't know. I don't know. You know, I Charlotte's gonna be coming back. It's about to be Royal Rumble season. Charlotte's gonna be back. We know that we're getting Becky versus Ronda at WrestleMania if Becky is able to be back in time because Vince saying that because Ronda Rousey still signed, right? She's still getting paid. I can't believe it, but we've heard little reports that Vince wants Ronda Rousey versus Becky at Mania. So we'll see. We'll see. I don't see anybody taking that title from Sasha on SmackDown other than potentially Bianca Belair, but we'll see. All right, I want to see. JD, did you send me the thing? All right, here it is. Let's see. What do you mean? This is an interview? Wait. What is this? This is an article on Sammy Guevara. Remember when the Sammy Guevara and Sasha Banks controversy? Remember that earlier this year? I did cover that. So what happened? Where should I be looking? I'm scrolling through this. Where? Did it like Alexa tweet or something? I'm scrolling through it, guys. Oh, what is this? This is just Alexa Bliss saying, "Well said, Sasha Banks." That doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean they're friends. What are you? Oh, you sent the wrong one. Like, come on, bro. We live. We live, man. You can't be making this mistakes. You want me to check this out in the middle of a podcast, and we live. Send me the right one. Anyway, back to what my bro Anthony was saying. PJ King says, just glad boring Flair isn't there. Yes. Anthony says, enjoy Survivor Series because it will be fairless. I like that. Flairless. I forgot, man. Anthony used to have the best taglines back in the day. Flair. Oh, man. You know what I got to do? I got to go back in time, look at those old podcasts, and just make a compilation video. There were so many great moments. I will say this. All right. All right, JD, you sent me the thing, but I will say this. Anthony, if you could tell the people in the chat, what was the best moment we had on the podcast? It was one of our first podcasts ever. First podcast ever. All right. Is this the right link now? Okay, let's see what this is. Ember Moon, like who Alexa Bliss is friends with. If I don't There's no way Sasha Banks is on here. Braun Strowman, yes, we know that. They had like a on-screen romance. Carmella, okay. No way Sasha Banks is on this list, right? Nia Jax, okay. For the number one. Wait a minute, JD, where am I supposed to be looking? There's no mention of Sasha Banks here. What JD, what am I supposed to be looking for? All right, what was it? JD, man. Yo, JD, man, we are live, bro. You're making mistakes. You're telling me to check out these articles and you're making mistakes. We are live, bro. Come on. But Anthony says, yes, our best moment ever was the WrestleMania 34 review. It was one of our first episodes of the podcast ever, right? And it was late at night. Late at night. No, JD, if you no, JD, if you find the article, just send it. I'm not that mad. I'm joking around with you. I'm just saying we're live, right? But just if you find the article, send it to me because I'm very curious. But our best moment ever was it was one of our first podcasts. It was WrestleMania 34 because the podcast started maybe like 2 or 3 weeks before WrestleMania, right? And at the time we were only doing I think we were only doing Raw reviews. We started doing Raw and SmackDown reviews after Mania. And I remember Asuka lost to Charlotte. And to this day, Anthony believes probably the worst mistake they ever made. One of the biggest mistakes I ever made, right? One of if you ask me, the biggest mistake I believe WWE ever made was not having Sasha win at WrestleMania 32, the triple threat with her, Becky, and Charlotte. That should have been the night when Sasha was crowned, top star of the women's division. But the biggest Anthony believes the biggest mistake WWE ever made was having Charlotte defeat Asuka's undefeated streak. Because Anthony believes Asuka has never, ever recovered from that. Asuka's had a decent main roster career, but I will agree, Asuka's undefeated streak should have never been ended around that time. She should have went undefeated for at least a year. And the person that should have ended Asuka's streak probably should have been Ronda Rousey at the WrestleMania the next year. Asuka should have won that championship and held it all year, and then lose it at the next WrestleMania. Yep. See, Andy Sagan. See, I remember these things. It should have been Asuka versus Ronda Rousey at WrestleMania 35. That's what it should have been. That's when Asuka's undefeated streak should have ended. And they messed up. And WWE has some there, WWE should be blaming themselves for that, but still. All right. Yes, and I remember that. Yes, she lost to Carmella. Oh, Charlotte lost to Carmella. If you guys remember Asuka versus Carmella that year when they had the James Ellsworth garbage, I remember how mad Anthony was. When I think I don't know if that was like Extreme Rules or Payback or something, but when we did that review, he was so mad when Carmella defeated Asuka, man. Oh, terrible. All right, PJ agrees with me. Oh, don't worry, Anthony. I got you tomorrow. I'll keep you updated with Sasha and Asuka. All right, don't you worry. Don't you worry, bro. Thank you, Anthony, for making an appearance, man. That's my brother right there. All right, JD, you finally got the article. All right, let's see. So what? Sasha and Asuka reportedly squashed their backstage beef. Ooh, this was 11 hours ago. This was today. The It says 11 hours ago. Okay, let's read this, man. I know, man. We talking about a lot on the podcast today, but I don't really care. So here we go. There are many stories going around about backstage heat in pro wrestling. Riddle is in the middle of many of those issues backstage, but Alexa Bliss and Sasha Banks also had some apparent heat. Excuse me. Ooh. Stephanie Chase recently interviewed Sasha Banks and asked the boss a very interesting question. She asked Banks if she could pick another tag team partner since her alliance with Bayley's over. Who would it be? The boss had a very interesting answer considering all the stories going around about backstage heat with Little Miss Bliss. And I quote, Sasha said, I have to choose Alexa Bliss. She is so cute. Did you watch this interview? Do you have like a timestamp so we can play this live? I don't want to play the entire interview. It's like a 60-minute interview, but do you have a timestamp? I need to hear the word for I need to hear this myself. I gotta hear this myself. What? What? Gabrielle, you're a little late, but don't worry. When we end the podcast, you can watch via playback. Don't worry. But PJ King, can you send me this? Like my guys, the links to my social media are in the description. Someone send me the clip. I need to see this for myself. I don't believe this. I don't believe this. I don't believe this, guys. Sasha and Oscar are actually friends. Like finally. Gabrielle says you the song. I need the clip, people. It's not enough just to tell me 11:23. All right, fine. All right, see. All right, 11:23. We're doing this live. I don't know if you guys are gonna be able to hear it on my end since I'm not using OBS, but let me know if you guys can hear the clip. If you guys can't, then it's whatever.
Everything's linked out, everything's benign, everything's standing out. I make a lot of money, so I have to spend a lot of money to look the part.
I don't know if you guys can hear the clip. I'm listening to live. If you guys can't hear it, just give me a sec. I'll let you know what she says.
Really, if you had to pick someone else to team with again, who would you like to pick from the current roster? I would have to choose Alexa Bliss. Okay. So if I had to team with again, who would you like to pick from the current roster? I would have to choose Alexa Bliss. Okay. So cute. And who on SmackDown at the minute would you be looking at to give a title shot to next, if not Bayley? I'm not gonna choose that. I think as a champion, I'm gonna sit back and sit pretty and let the SmackDown women show me what they got. Let me see who wants to face me first. I'm not looking for anybody in line. There's no particular order. I'll face anybody at any time, whenever. That's what a champion, a true champion, is all about. As someone that was really
Okay, I exited out, but okay, wow. See, the thing is, it's not like she hesitated. It was like 2 seconds after the question was asked, she chose Alexa Bliss. Okay. Looks like the beef is finally over. It took like 1,000 years, but yay. No more beef between those two. I know Sasha and Alexa Bliss fans have been fighting for years. I was part of that. Ask Anthony a couple years ago. Woo. Man, it was. And guys know I never saw myself becoming an Alexa Bliss fan, but what she's doing right now with the Fiend on Raw is great stuff. I love Alexa's new character. So I don't know. Maybe eventually, maybe potentially, never know. All right, never know, never know. But okay, Sasha and Alexa tag team. Maybe that could work. What would you call them? Little Miss Boss, something like that. I don't know. The Little Bosses, the Miss Bosses. I don't know. But hey, the Sasha Banks and Alexa Bliss tag team. Maybe you never know. Anything can happen in WWE. But I am very very happy that Paul says the boss fits. That's not bad. I like that the boss fits. But you know I'm just happy that the beef's over. Really, it's been for years. For someone who's been on YouTube for years and knows the beef between Sasha and Alexa, I'm just happy that it's over. Really am. That's good. That's good stuff. That really is some good stuff. All right, do a little quick clap. All right, where were we? Where were we? I don't even remember where we were with the podcast. I don't even know. Once Anthony came in here, we all got sidetracked. And you'll have moments like that every once in a while. But I where I don't know where. I don't know. You got. I forgot where we were with the podcast. I think we were on the women's Survivor Series team, if I was right. So I said that basically Bianca Belair should win the match for the female Survivor Series team, right? And I would have her KOD Nia Jax. Also, what I would do during this match, I would set up a Bianca versus Bailey feud. Maybe there's some kind of tension, and that leads to maybe Bailey getting eliminated because he has tension with Bianca and she gets distracted, and this could lead to a Bailey versus Bianca feud on SmackDown. I feel like that's the next step for both of these women. Bailey's, she's not going to be in the championship picture for a little bit now that her, what she was doing with Sasha is done for now. But still, that's what I would do going forward. So, all right. And I feel like we got through most of the matches already. Yep. Right now, there's only one, two, three. There's only 5 matches announced. I know there's a pre-show, but I don't care. Who cares about the pre-show? Yes, there's a dual brand battle royal. There's a dual brand battle royal that will probably have all these names that are not on the card from Raw and SmackDown. Who cares? Why should we care about that? Does the winner get a championship match or something? Like, don't really care. The last thing on the show is the Undertaker's final farewell, right? And I kind of mentioned this at the beginning of the podcast. I do not believe the Undertaker will actually be saying goodbye. The Undertaker should be there. I expect him to be there. I am intrigued to see, will he come out as the Undertaker or will he come out as Mark Calloway or a mixture of both? Right? Will we see, like the American Badass Taker that we saw at WrestleMania against Styles this year? It's going to be interesting to see what Taker we get. But because remember, the Undertaker he's human now more than ever. He has social media, he has a TikTok, right? He's on all these documentary specials. We've never gotten this close a look at Mark Calloway before. Because during his in-ring career for the better part of the last 25 years, right, he's always in character whenever you see him. You never see him out of character. But now that he's retired, he's an older man, right? He has now accepted, Mark Calloway and the character behind that, if that makes sense, So it's gonna be interesting to see what do we get tomorrow. Will we see the Taker? Will we see Badass? Will we see Mark Calloway? It's gonna be interesting. Uh, they might do something where they have like the entire roster at on top of the stage. I could see them definitely doing something like that while Taker gives a speech. He'll probably have his wife, Michelle McCool, there. Maybe their kids will be there as well. So, we'll see. It's going to be interesting. But I don't see this. I do not see this being the farewell for the Undertaker. I already mentioned and Gabriella, to answer your question, I would say most likely American Badass Taker. American Badass Taker is almost like a perfect combination of both the Undertaker and Mark Calloway. If that makes sense. If it feels weird to say that if Taker and Mark Calloway fuse, you would get American Badass, even though they're all the same guy, right? It's just Mark Calloway playing a character. But I think we're going to see American Badass Taker tomorrow with the motorcycle and all that. He'll probably have tons of pyro graphics, all that. He'll probably get some huge elaborate entrance. But here's my thing. You might have all the superstars on ringside. Who knows? Maybe Vince will be there as well. You guys remember when Ric Flair retired back in 2008? One of the most famous retirement ceremonies in WWE history. Taker could get something like that, but I'm going to say this. I don't think Taker is retiring tomorrow. I don't think this is his final farewell. I talked about earlier how emotional it was when they had him, do a mini farewell at WrestleMania 33 when he lost to Roman, and how big a moment that was. One of the rare times where I've cried watching WWE. It almost never happens, but one of the rare moments I actually cried. And I think I made a video on that day. I don't remember. I would have to go back. I made so many videos over the years, but never know. But the whole thing there, I don't see them doing a final farewell for the Undertaker with no fans. It doesn't matter if it's virtual screens. It's not a live audience, right? If they're gonna have Undertaker retire, they're gonna do it in front of a crowd where they can get a live reaction. Come on, guys, use your heads. This is the Undertaker we're talking about. The Undertaker. I think it's most likely, and BC's been saying this on his podcast as well, that they could do something with the Fiend. Remember, what's one of the things the Fiend does? The Fiend goes back. The Fiend goes after past opponents, right? He's going after Randy Orton right now. We've seen him go after John Cena. We've seen him go after Daniel Bryan. People who have done him wrong in the past. The Undertaker and the Fiend have a history. Undertaker defeated Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania 31. It was the first time we had seen Undertaker in over a year since he lost his WrestleMania streak at WrestleMania 30 to Brock Lesnar. And remember, 5 years ago at Survivor Series, some of you guys don't remember this, at Survivor Series, 5 years ago in 2015, when it was the Undertaker's 25th anniversary, we had the Undertaker and Kane versus the Wyatt family. And Undertaker and Kane won. So we actually saw Undertaker versus Bray Wyatt twice in that 1 year. And Undertaker won both of those matches. Why not do a third match, right? This is WWE. They love to do things over and over again. So I could definitely see something like the Fiend showing up and potentially, attacking the Undertaker, and that's setting up a match with the Undertaker and the Fiend for WrestleMania, because they are planning to have it in Tampa with fans, and that could be an actual send off for the Undertaker. Maybe you do a career. Maybe you do a match where if the Undertaker loses, he can no longer wrestle. That would be a good story, right? The Fiend gets a huge victory at WrestleMania, and you could finally do the Undertaker retirement. Because what they could do to me is you usually want to leave putting someone over. You don't want to put yourself over on the way out. You usually want to put someone else over. The Rock did that in his last match. Stone Cold Steve Austin did that in his last match. Shawn Michaels did that in his last match. So putting the Fiend over, letting the Fiend get revenge, right, for those 2 losses he took to the Undertaker in 2015, while getting a big moment like that on WrestleMania stage. That would be huge for the Fiend. He could carry that momentum into the summer as one of the top baby faces on Raw. Have him go back after the Universal Championship, right? Maybe you can do, I don't know, maybe like Keith Lee or Drew McIntyre, whoever's the WWE champion by SummerSlam next year. You have the Fiend take that momentum and then become WWE champion at SummerSlam next year. I'm already doing WWE's job for them. Why doesn't someone listen to me and hire me, man? I know this business too well. Know it way too well, man. But yeah, like I said, I think doing the Fiend versus the Undertaker, I'm down with it. It's not going to be a great match. We know that. The Undertaker guy's over 50 years old, and the Fiend's never been an amazing in-ring performer. But the story that they could do with that match, and just the gimmicks itself, the character of the Fiend, the Bray Wyatt trying to get under Undertaker's skin, and Undertaker, getting ready for that last fight at WrestleMania with his career on the line. There's a story there, and WWE wants to tell it. And then the Fiend getting put over in a big way while allowing Undertaker to get that last WrestleMania moment, that final WrestleMania moment that finally put the nail in the coffin. Like I said, I don't see the Undertaker having his final farewell in front of fans. I don't see it. I don't. This is the perfect way to do it. Perfect way to do it. If WWE was smart, this is the route that they would go. Will they go? Will they go this route? I don't know. WWE isn't that smart, but if someone for WWE is listening, this is how I would do the farewell ceremony. Use it to set up the Fiend versus the Undertaker in the Undertaker's final, and I mean final, like not another one 5 years later. His final actual match at WrestleMania next year. What they did with AJ Styles in the Boneyard match, I loved it. Fantastic job, right? But like I said, it's just not believable. Not believable that they would have the Undertaker retire with no crowd. No crowd. They wanted the Undertaker to have a special badass entrance at WrestleMania last year inside Raymond James Stadium. They can still do it if they want to go down this direction. And I'm all for it because it will finally give the Undertaker that final clarity. He doesn't need it, but it's just not believable to me that they would have the Undertaker, have a final farewell in front of no fans. It doesn't make sense to me. They wouldn't do that for Stone Cold or The Rock or John Cena. I don't see them doing it for The Undertaker. The best character that WWE's ever had. One of the all-time greats. I don't see it. It'll be interesting. Plus, I don't know, when do you do the Undertaker farewell? Do you do it at the beginning of the show? Do you do it at the end of the show? Do you do it in the middle? I have no idea when they're gonna do the farewell. It's gonna be interesting. It really is. But he deserves the best send off, and that's my opinion. But we'll have to wait and see, right? But I would go down the route with having the Fiend attack the Undertaker. You could keep it babyface. You could do an Undertaker Fiend match with the Fiend still being a babyface, but still. Plus, Undertaker losing another match, that's not gonna bother anybody. His streak's been over now for 6 years. He has 2 WrestleMania losses. Him getting another one at this point isn't gonna affect him at all. He's still gonna be known for the streak. All right. That's the way I would see it. All right. So that's my Survivor Series prediction. So we're gonna talk about SmackDown really quickly to close the show, close out this podcast. But for those of you guys who may have missed it, you know, uh Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre. I don't think there's going to be a winner. I think there's going to be some kind of DQ. Maybe Randy Orton, maybe The Fiend. We'll see. Right. But I don't expect this match to have a finish. Roman and Drew, neither man can lose right now. Neither man can lose. The men's Survivor Series match, I have Team Raw defeating Team SmackDown in this situation. Right now, I think either Keith Lee or Matt Riddle, one of those two is going to pick up the dub for Team Raw. So yeah, for the Women's Survivor Series match, I have Team SmackDown winning. I have Bianca Belair winning by doing the KOD on Nia Jax, picking up the win, and giving her a big moment on her on Survivor Series, her first Survivor Series being on the main roster. Oscar versus Sasha Banks. I have Sasha Banks winning this match. The only way I don't see Sasha winning is if Carmella interferes. And I hope they don't do that. Give Sasha and Oscar 25 to 30 minutes, and they'll give you the best match of the night. New Day versus the Street Profits. I believe this has the chance to be the best tag team match of the year for WWE if they give it the time and make it special. And I would have, you could go either way. It doesn't matter who wins. If Street Profits win, it elevates them. If the New Day wins, it's just another win to add to their impressive resume. I would have the Street Profits win, but my prediction right now is the New Day winning. Bobby Lashley versus Sami Zayn. I have Bobby Lashley winning this. WWE, it's already been reported that they want to make this a squash match. So that's my thoughts on that. Uh, and then the Undertaker's final farewell. I don't see this as a farewell. Something's gonna happen. I think either the Fiend or somebody is going to attack the Undertaker. So we'll just have to wait and see how that goes. So that's my thoughts on that. We're gonna talk about SmackDown real quick since I didn't give you guys a SmackDown review. So I'm gonna be honest, SmackDown last night wasn't that good. And I talked about this at the beginning of the podcast. The Survivor Series build has not been special at all. There's really been, in my opinion, there's not been any care going to this SmackDown build or this Survivor Series build. SmackDown did nothing. There was no invasion angles. There was nothing. You did have some Raw superstars show up, like the New Day and Asuka and Drew McIntyre, but there was nothing really. I was waiting and hoping we would get the invasion angle. I usually always enjoy that, but we did not get that this year. And the Survivor Series build, it's just been very, very poor. Probably the worst Survivor Series build we've gotten since the brand split back in 2016. Uh, we had the New Day and the Street Profits versus Dolph Ziggler, Bobby Roode, Baron Corbin, and Sami Zayn. This match was whatever. It wasn't terrible, right? Everyone in this match, can wrestle. It's just whatever. This match was more about the Street Profits and the New Day, coming into conflict. There was some points where Kofi Kingston would tag himself in the match, and they wanted to tag in Dawkins, and Dawkins would get, a little pissed on the outside, like, "What you doing, fam? I'm here too." So Montez Ford got the win for his team with the frog splash. The match was okay, but clearly we're all excited for the New Day versus Street Profits this Sunday. It should be really, really good, right? This match was just whatever. We had Natalia versus Tamina. The winner joins the Women's Survivor Series team. Before this, Bailey was announced to be on the team. She didn't need to qualify. It makes sense. It's Bailey. You don't need to make her qualify. She's great. It come on. But I kind of did enjoy this mini storyline of Natalia, having to qualify. It took Natalia, three chances, maybe four. Actually, yeah, it took her four chances. Remember, Bianca qualified in their triple threat, then Ruby qualified in their triple threat, and then Liv Morgan qualified in their fatal four-way last week, even though it was supposed to be Chelsea Green, but Chelsea Green got injured. And Natalia finally got the job done against Tamina, right? They had Bailey and Bianca Belair on commentary. Not much happened between them, but and Natalia did qualify. Afterwards, Bailey, and Natalia, they were hugging in the ring. And Bailey, was trying to get the baby faces, Ruby, Liv, and Bianca. She was trying to get them all into the ring to try to build some chemistry. But Bailey does see herself as the team captain. The others don't, really agree with that. But hey, it's going to be interesting. I do have the Women's Survivor Series team winning this match. All right, on Sunday. There's the SmackDown women's team is stacked. There's no reason why they shouldn't win. That would be absolutely ridiculous if they did. Uh I will say this. I don't really care about this. Natalia, it's whatever. My problem is Natalia getting a longer segment than Sasha Banks. Sasha Banks, you guys have seen the ratings, right? So Sasha and Bailey have been in the highest rated segment throughout all of WWE since the pandemic started because people are investing in what Sasha and Bailey do, right? Their match a couple weeks ago on SmackDown was the highest rated segment in WWE since the pandemic started all year. It had like what 2.7 million viewers. But SmackDown most weekends can barely get a rating, but above a two. Sasha and Bailey had a 2.7. I don't know how WWE is. I don't see how they're not capitalizing on this feud. I don't know why they're not capitalizing. Sasha is now SmackDown Women's Champion. Plus, she's on the Mandalorian, and WWE refuses to promote. The only time they promoted Sasha on the Mandalorian was on their Instagram page and on Twitter. They sent out a congratulations tweet, and they put an image of Sasha, a promo image of Sasha in the Mandalorian on their Instagram, but they have not mentioned it at all on Twitter. I mean, on Twitter, on SmackDown, they haven't mentioned it at all. You have Sasha, who's one of your biggest stars, if not the biggest star on SmackDown. The only other star that I can think that's on her level is Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. But she's clearly the biggest female star on SmackDown, right? Fox loves her. She's your women's champion, and she's in Star Wars. How are you not promoting her to the moon? If it was anybody else, they would be promoting the hell out of this. It doesn't take that much anyway. You just have to have Michael Cole for 10 to 30 seconds to say, oh, go check out JDB's own Sasha Banks in The Mandalorian on Disney Plus, right? And then you show a promo image or you show a short clip of Sasha in the show from her episode, and then you're good. Then you're done. I don't see why, I don't see why WWE, it's so difficult. Oh my gosh, man. Like, come on. How does Natalia get a longer segment than Sasha Banks, who's been carrying this company on her back all year? But it shows how, excuse me, it shows, uh, uh, it shows that there is absolutely, it shows how out of touch Vince is. It's that simple. Really. And it shows how dumb people backstage are. You should have people backstage in Vince's ear like, oh, we should be promoting this. This is free media for us. right? You promote Sasha in Star Wars, people go watch Star Wars, and people who watch Star Wars come to SmackDown to see what Sasha's doing in real life. It's that simple. I don't see how they don't get it in their minds. This is free media, free stuff, free stuff, bro. Like, how long does it take to mention Sasha in the Mandalorian? Come on, pissing me off, man, with this company sometimes.
Championship. He righted those wrongs. Undertaker defeated Bray Wyatt at Mania 30. So me.
NBA YouTube, you sent me a clip about Beast for BC's podcast. Yeah, we just talked about it, bro. We just talked about it. All right, what up, Shane the Gamer? I'm looking in the chat real quick. Yeah, exactly, Gabrielle. Thank you. They mentioned it on, they did a little bit of advertisement on Instagram, a little bit of advertising by congratulating Sasha on Twitter. Sasha was on the Bump, and she talked about it, right? She was on the New Day podcast. She talked about it. Now, just mention it on the show. Mention it. It's not a spoiler anymore. They're advertising Sasha in the show. Just go mention. How long does it take? Have Michael Cole choreograph for 10 to 15 seconds, talk about the show. So, a short clip. That's free. That's free promotion for the company. Because people that watch Sasha in Star Wars who don't know who she is, they're watching Costa Reeves. That's her Star Wars character name, right? They search up who plays Costa Reeves. Mercedes Vernado, aka Sasha Banks, will come up. Then they're gonna come to WWE, and then they're gonna watch Sasha Banks on SmackDown to see what she's all about. And it's gonna be you know how many new fans, right, of WWE are coming because they like Sasha from Star Wars. It mind boggles me. It really does. JD says, I believe that they don't feel like she's the face of the company when she is. She's basically the female version of The Rock, and they're missing the mark. Yes, Sasha is the modern day female version of The Rock. Because when she does retire from in-ring wrestling, she already has an in Hollywood. All she has to go to any job, any gig she wants, and just say, I had a main role in The Mandalorian. That's all she has to do, and she is set. She is set. She can get any role she wants, and you're not. I don't know. It mind boggles me because they'll put Sasha in big matches. They'll give her championships. They know Sasha's a star, but it's like they refuse to accept that she's the star. Like when Becky Lynch was in some stupid TV show. She was in it was right before she left. She was in a TV show. They advertised her. You have Sasha Banks, one of your biggest stars in Star Wars, arguably the biggest franchise in the world. I don't know, man. If I was in that company, man, I would be talking about this all the time. If I was in this company, I would be pushing that to the moon. JD says her character even puts you or reminds you of The Rock and Stone Cold, even Triple H. Yep. Anti-hero. What is it? Anti-heroic protagonist. Yes, that's Sansa's character. She's a cocky, right, anti-hero babyface. That's what she is. She's an anti-hero babyface. Right? There's some people. I saw some idiot on Twitter earlier saying, "Oh, this version of Sasha's babyface character is nothing like the character she had in 2016. She's supposed to be a babyface, but she comes out or she comes off as a cocky know-it-all bitch." I'm like, have you ever seen Sasha Banks? Have you not been paying attention? Really? Yet she's a star. That's the whole point of the legit boss character. She's a star and she knows it. She's the best and she knows it. And that belief in herself, right? That belief in herself is the main thing that strives her to keep going. Just because she's confident and she's cocky doesn't mean she's not a good baby. There's people out there that claim that they watch WWE, that they know, but they don't know nothing. All right. They don't know. JD says that sounds dumb. This is a new version of her face character. Yes, this is a new version of her face character. This is not the same Sasha. This I saw some idiot say, "Isn't this the same Sasha we saw in 2016?" Are you kidding me right now? Really? Yes, 2016 Sasha was a badass. He was. But this Sasha is 4 years with more experience in her prime. This is prime. The Sasha we're seeing right now is in her prime. We'll be lucky to get this for the next 2 to 3 years. She's only 28, right? Sasha's in the prime of her career. This is some of the best work you're gonna ever get from her. And this is a completely different version of the character from 2016. I'm not just talking about hair color. She's a completely different baby face. What did I say when the Bailey feud first started? Excuse me. Sasha needs to be a badass, confident baby face. Not afraid to say anything, have belief in herself. My goodness, man. It really pisses me off when people do not use their brains. It doesn't. People on Twitter that claim that they cover and watch WWE for a living, but they don't understand someone's character. She's an anti-hero babyface, right? Someone who's, do you know what an anti-hero babyface is? Someone who's cocky and confident and is so badass that even no matter what they do, you still want to cheer for them. When The Rock came out, like when The Rock came out back in the 1990s, back in the Attitude Era, when The Rock came out, he would come out with $1,000 shirts. You know, the stuff he was wearing cost more than some people's paychecks. Those outfits were wicked expensive, from the shades to the shirts to the pants to the shoes. Right? And he would come out, make disgusting jokes. If you said those jokes, if you said the things that The Rock said in the Attitude Era today in 2020, just to your friends or the people around you, you would probably get arrested. You would get your ass beat. But because The Rock was that anti-hero, because The Rock was so badass, you still wanted to cheer for him. Stone Cold Steve Austin, he was never a babyface, really. He was an anti-hero. He didn't care what the rules were. He was going to say and do what he want. But because he was a change, because he was a badass character, because he was so unfiltered, uncensored, right? Because he was that badass, people cheered for him no matter what. The guy comes out flaring middle fingers, swearing up a junk, right? If someone like that did that today, they would be, they would get in a lot of trouble. Why do you think I loved Becky Lynch's character when she first became the man? When she first became the man, those first couple months, because she was a badass, right? She was a badass. And Sasha is now that in 2020. She is a badass, confident baby face. And the fact that you can't see that, right? You see it as her being arrogant. You see it as her being cocky and a know-it-all and an annoying bitch, right? Because what? Because her outfits cost more than your paycheck? Really? She's a legit boss. That's her character. She's supposed to be better than the rest. In the ring, outside the ring, on the mic, with the style. She's the best in the world. She's a star. And Sasha is so badass that no matter what she does, you're still going to cheer for her. When she's getting her ass beat, you're going to cheer for her because you know she's going to persevere and keep fighting. Like, that's the whole, that's what an anti-hero babyface is. Come on. Sasha is the modern day version of The Rock in the women's division. Becky Lynch, all right? Becky Lynch reminds me more of Stone Cold. Or at least, yeah, Becky in her prime, at the peak of the man character. Right? The peak of the man, Becky Lynch character, she reminds me a little more of Stone Cold Steve Austin. I'm not saying she's on the level of Stone Cold Steve Austin, but when Becky was in her prime at the man character, I'm talking about 2018, 2019, she reminded me a lot of Stone Cold Steve Austin. Sasha, this version of Sasha, anti-hero babyface Sasha, she reminds me a lot more of The Rock. Those are the similarities I see, right? So I would say Becky is like Austin, Sasha like The Rock. And if you can't see that, Sasha is being presented the same way The Rock was back in the late Attitude Era, then you need to go get your glasses clean and you need to stop watching the product. You need, all right, or you need to be listening to this podcast because that's exactly why I do what I do. To educate fools like you. So anybody here is saying that they have a problem with Sasha's babyface character, that means you have a problem with the way The Rock was. And if you have a problem with the way The Rock was, then you're watching the wrong show. Clearly, Sasha Banks is the modern day version of The Rock from the Attitude Era. It's that simple. And if you can't see that, you're delusional. You really are. You're part of the problem with this product. Right? And I know I just went on like some 10, 15-minute rant. I wasn't planning on doing that. I wasn't. But man, people are so dumb and blind. Like, come on. So dumb. So dumb. Anyway, I don't even remember where we were. We were talking about SmackDown. All right, yeah, we were talking about Natalia. Yeah, we were talking about how Natalia's getting more time in segments, right? I don't know why. The last 2 weeks, last week on SmackDown, when she got attacked by Carmella for a second time, and now this week, right? Sasha's segments have only been maybe less than 10 minutes long if you combine both of them. And that makes no sense when she's been the best thing on the main roster all year. Sasha's title reign started so strong with what they were doing with Bayley, that match that they had a couple weeks back. Now, do not let go of that momentum. Carmella, right? I'm getting tired of these attacks from Carmella every single week. I really am. I'm not with this whole untouchable gimmick. It's stupid if you ask me. Hopefully, after Survivor Series, they actually tell a story here, right? Can they actually build Carmella up? She hasn't wrestled since she came back. Can she actually get some wins? I said that she should have been on the SmackDown women's team, and maybe you can have her win the match with Bianca, right? At least I would make an argument. Just because you've had Carmella attack Sasha 3 weeks in a row, right? That doesn't mean Carmella deserves a SmackDown Women's Championship match. No, Carmella needs to wrestle. She needs to earn a number one contenders match. Come on, let's be logical. I hate that. Oh yeah, if I attack somebody, I get a free title match. We'll see what happens. Carmella better not interfere at Survivor Series, or that's gonna piss me off. I hope that's not what they're planning on doing, but we'll just have to wait and see. But hopefully, hopefully after Survivor Series, we can actually get an actual story here between Sasha and Carmella. I'm tired of these dumb attacks. So doing the same stupid super kick and X Factor move. No, stop it, please. All right, the best thing on the show tonight or on SmackDown, was Roman Reigns and the Drew McIntyre contract signing. We talked about it a little bit earlier, right? There's not much to mention here. So Adam Pearce was sitting at the head of the table, right? Because he was supposed to be the one affiliating the contract signing. Drew came out first. He had a nice little button down, and he was serious. He was, for a guy that just won the WWE Championship back on Monday, Drew was all business. He was like, "Oh, it doesn't matter, man. I'm already looking forward to Survivor Series, man. I'm looking forward to, going to war with Roman." So I like that serious nature. Drew was not smiling here. I would like to get more of that Drew McIntyre. That serious Drew McIntyre, man. I like that. So Roman came out. Roman had a very, very slow and long entrance. And I was like, come on, Roman. We're in the Thunderdome. We're not in a live crowd. We're in the Thunderdome. Okay, can you move? Can you pick up the pace a little bit? Roman had like a 2.5-minute entrance. It took him forever to get down to the ring. But I love this. So when he gets into the ring, Roman moves Adam Pearce. So like I said, Adam was sitting at the head of the table, but Roman being the tribal chief, he moved Adam Pearce to the side, and then Roman sat at the head of the table. Another great thing about this is they didn't use microphones, right? And I was like, okay, yeah, they're like, why do they even need microphones? There's no crowd there, right? Everybody can hear you based off the cameras. There's a boom mic in there, so you don't really need the microphones. So I like that. I love Roman being this vindictive heel, right? He stared at McIntyre, and Drew stared back at him. Reigns said that he knew McIntyre would regain the WWE title because he's been in his shoes before. That's true. Remember, Roman was a babyface a couple years ago. I think he won the WWE title like 3 times in like a 4 or 5 month period. So he's been in those shoes before. I think it was against Sheamus. Yeah. Remember when Sheamus cashed in Money in the Bank on Roman Reigns, and then Reigns won the title back just like a couple weeks later. I think it was on the New Year's edition of Raw. So I enjoyed that little connection there with Roman's promo. He said that Drew McIntyre was in the right place at the wrong time because he kept saying Drew was a secondary champion. I love that. I love what Roman was saying here because it's actually true. All right, Roman Reigns or Drew McIntyre. I'll pick Roman Reigns, especially with this heel Roman Reigns that we're getting. I'll pick Roman Reigns any day of the week over Drew McIntyre. And I like Drew McIntyre. I do. He could be presented a little better, right? You can get rid of some of the corny jokes they have him say. But I'll pick Roman Reigns as the top champion over in WWE. Heel Roman Reigns, not babyface Roman Reigns. Heel Roman Reigns. I would take that over this version of Drew McIntyre any day of the week. Any day of the week. So McIntyre said, "Oh, you want me to, flip this table, get in your face, start an all-out fight, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to have plenty of time to do that Sunday at Survivor Series." He said that Reigns' mind games wouldn't work, and he's not going to let him get under his skin. But, Roman needs to be ready for war this Sunday, and he signed the contract. So they went back and forth with some verbal jabs, but no punches were thrown, which is a rare for a contract signing. But I loved it. Roman had one of the fire quotes, like I talk about all the time how Sasha Banks said, "My title is greater," or my name, when Sasha said the Bailey, their contract signing, Sasha said, "My name is greater than your title." I loved how Drew said here, or not Drew, Roman said to Drew, right? "You'll always be my favorite number two." Loved it. Because Roman was talking about how one day, Drew would be thanking him for preparing the way. So I guess kind of teasing how Drew will probably one day go back to being a heel. We'll see, right? But until then, Roman said, "When you do thank me, I'll say I love you too." All right. Roman said to Drew, "You'll love me for what I'm gonna do to you at Survivor Series, because one day you'll understand and you'll love me for it, and I'll love you right back." Because Roman looks into Drew's eyes and he says, "You'll always be my favorite number two." And I love it. I love it because it's so true. And Roman as a heel was so badass. Imagine if you listened to the podcast a couple of years ago, I would rant on Roman Reigns and Alexa Bliss every single week. Who would think? Who would think in 2020 that I would be a fan of Alexa Bliss in her new Harley Quinn role with Bray Wyatt, right, on Monday Night Raw? And then I would also be a fan of Roman Reigns as a heel. Imagine that. Like I said, WWE should listen to me more often. If you just make a couple changes to someone's character, man. Ugh. NBA YouTube says, what do you say? He says Carmella needs to tell why she tagged Sauce on Friday. Look, NBA YouTube, I'm gonna respond to that because Sauce is the champion. It's that simple. Carmella's back and she wants to be SmackDown Women's Champion. It's stupid, right? That Carmella's not Carmella. Like guys, I'm gonna keep saying what I've been saying. Carmella needs to be in the ring. She needs to be in the ring. You want to have Carmella versus Sasha? Fine, whatever. I have no problem with it. But Carmella should not just get a match because she attacked Sasha Banks. Put Carmella in the ring. Have her get a couple of W's, right? Have Carmella beat a Liv Morgan, beat a Ruby Riott, win a number one contenders match, right? Maybe you do Carmella versus Bianca Belair. No, not Bianca. But you guys get the point. Have Carmella win a couple matches and actually build her way to becoming number one contender. You have time. TLC is not for another month. You don't need to rush it. But come on. But JD or JD and NBA YouTube. Carmella attacks Austin because she wants to be champions. It's that simple. It's nothing personal. Please. Carmella would have done this if Bianca Belair or Liv Morgan or Ruby Riott were champion. Come on. But like I said, the Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre segment was great. Can't wait for the match. Like I said earlier in the predictions, I don't see Roman Reigns or Drew McIntyre losing. Neither man can lose. I think there will be some kind of interference by either Randy Orton or The Fiend. We'll just have to wait and see what happens. Can't wait for that. Seth Rollins versus Buddy Murphy, right? It's been reported that Seth Rollins will be taken off TV after Survivor Series because Becky Lynch is due to have her baby in just a couple weeks. Becky posted a picture. She hasn't been on social media much these days, but she posted a picture of some baby pics that she did with Seth, and she still looks beautiful. Still looks beautiful, and I'm very happy for her and Seth. Cannot wait to see how the baby comes out in a couple of weeks' time. But remember, this match was set up after Buddy turned on Seth last week, right? Allowing Rey Mysterio to defeat Seth Rollins. That's how we got this match. And this was a good match. This was a really good match. I knew it was going to be a good match. It was definitely better than the Rey Mysterio match from last week. But Buddy Murphy, I would say he's underrated. He's very underrated in the ring. But the end of this match came. Rollins hit a superplex and a Falcon Arrow for a near fall. He yelled at Murphy before sending him into the corner with a buckle bomb. He also hit him with a stomp, but Murphy was barely able to kick out of. Then Murphy caught him with multiple jumping knees before he hit Murphy's Law, and he got the upset victory. So big victory. Build up Buddy Murphy. Build him up. I heard there's rumors saying that they're going to continue the storyline with him and Alea. And I have no problem with that. I have no problem with them continuing the storyline. No problem at all. It's just going to be interesting to see how far they go with this. I heard that WWE wants to do like Murphy and Alea wedding. We know WWE weddings never end up good. And remember, the last wedding we had in WWE with Lana and Bobby Lashley was one of the worst segments I've ever seen. So, but I would build up Buddy Murphy for the IC title. Right? You have so many names in that Intercontinental Championship division, and you're not using them. Really, man. Like, come on. Sami Zayn is the perfect champion. I would love to see a Buddy Murphy versus Sami Zayn feud, right? And then if you want to get Alea involved, sure. I feel like they could probably have an interesting story, but that's what I would do. He has all this momentum. He just had an upset victory over Seth Rollins. Why not? Why not do that? But that's what I would do there. And yes, NBA YouTube, I did talk to that. I'll have a video coming up on that, sometime in the future. Maybe next week, but I have so many videos planned with, my anime content and WWE that I just don't know, because I want to do one video a day. I don't want to do multiple uploads. But yes, I will. I did talk to her yesterday. You guys will get that sooner rather than later. I'll let you guys know when that's done, though. Last but not least, before we get out of here, Daniel Bryan versus Jey Uso. If you guys remember, Jey Uso did attack Daniel Bryan a couple weeks ago when he, aligned with Roman Reigns. And Daniel Bryan's now back trying to get some payback. We are going to get a Daniel Bryan versus Roman Reigns feud eventually. It's just going to be interesting when. Maybe at TLC, maybe, right? But, I would not be mad if they save that for WrestleMania. That would be a huge match. Daniel Bryan with the yes chance at WrestleMania going up against this new look Roman Reigns heel turn. That would be fantastic. But either way, man, a Roman Reigns versus Daniel Bryan feud, it's going to be good. Really, really good. Daniel Bryan does have a new haircut, right? He kept the top and shaved his sides, man, looking good. But this was a good match. Like I said, Jey Uso has really became a really good singles performer. So, even though his brother is injured and he will be coming back soon to join the new Tribal Chief faction, but not Jake has really been impressive in this singles run, and I'm happy for him. This was a really good match. Daniel Bryan countered a Samoan drop and landed up for the running knee, but Uso blocked him and hit 2 super kicks. Bryan blocked the Uso splash and then hit him with a roll-up for the win. So this was a really good match. Daniel Bryan gets the win, and that's how SmackDown went up the air. Daniel Bryan's not even on Survivor Series this Sunday. There's a lot of talent that's not on the Survivor Series. Like, I know Daniel Bryan's not on the show. The Feed's not on the show. Randy Orchard's not on the show. Alexa Bliss isn't on the show. There's a lot of talent that's not being used for Survivor Series. So we'll see if there's some surprises set for Survivor Series tomorrow night. But like I said, the build for Survivor Series has not been good. And, SmackDown tonight or last night wasn't that good a show. It really wasn't. And they need to do better. We'll see what happens next week. Now that, once Survivor Series is over and then go back to regular, booking, going into TLC, maybe things will get better. So we'll see then. But for a go home show, especially for the Survivor Series, it wasn't good at all. No invasion angles, nothing special happening. Not that happy with how Sasha's segment looked on Friday. Wasn't a good show. Wasn't a good show, and that's just me being honest. But let me know what you guys think about that. Either way, that's about it. This was a wicked long podcast. We went almost 2 hours, and I know that's mainly because we had some bonus content. We had Anthony make an appearance, right? We talked about some other things, so we went a little bit extra today, but I don't mind that. You guys were awesome, very engaging. The chat was on. The chat was great tonight. You guys, man, thank you to everyone that in the chat for you guys made this a long podcast. You guys are the reason why this podcast was so long. But either way, man, I enjoyed it, man. I love talking to you guys. I love when the chat is active, right? If you guys are watching this on playback, thank you guys still, man. I know it's a little bit long. You guys probably had to skip through a little bit since you guys weren't here live for some of that cool stuff. But still, man, thank you guys so much. But either way, that's about it for the podcast today. Tomorrow's a big day, Survivor Series, right? Some of you guys might be watching this on Sunday. Make sure to join me tonight for the Survivor Series watch along. We'll be going live a little after 7, not directly at 7, maybe around 7:15, 7:30, right? But we'll be going live for a Survivor Series watch along. And right after Survivor Series, right back here on the podcast, we'll be here with the Survivor Series review. Cannot wait for that. So definitely excited for Sasha and Asuka. New Day versus the Street Profits. Drew McIntyre versus Roman Reigns should be really, really good. Thank you guys once again for all the love and support. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, enable notifications by clicking the bell next to my name, Fitzmonk TV, so you guys are notified every time I post a new video. Also, follow me down on social media. The links are in the description down below. I will be live tweeting all day tomorrow. All right. Thank you guys so much. You guys are the best. Once again, guys, stay safe and healthy, y'all. See y'all later. See you for Survivor Series. Peace.